What's up guys, Uno here, and today I want to talk about building on water here in Valheim. I've seen a lot of things recently of people trying to build bridges or build beachfront properties, and a lot of the time they're either just jumping in the water to try and build, or they suggest to bring a boat over to try and build with, and those just sound really complicated to me, so I figured I'd make a video and share my tips and tricks that I use to build on water, and maybe some of them you might find useful, and maybe they can help you out with your builds. This is an area that I've prepared for water building. If you want to build a bridge or a waterfront building, I strongly suggest you prepare yours in the same way. You want to flatten the ground slightly above the ground next to it, and you want to square off the edges to create a seawall. This will block the tides from coming in during a storm to this level of ground. The tides would wash up if the ground was flat and had natural leeway like this, but since we've created this seawall, it will prevent the water from raising up here and either degrading our bridge or degrading our building, especially if you're not using core wood. Just the same in real life, the best type of bridge you could possibly build would be a land bridge. So if you wanted to use a hoe and elevate your land all the way across, that would be the safest, strongest, most versatile bridge you could ever build in the game. But sometimes that isn't always efficient, especially cost-wise. It would cost thousands of stone to get across there. So that's not something you would want to do in a dedicated server or anywhere you're doing a legitimate run. As always, you want to have your crafting stations nearby. I have one on both sides, both covered in case I need to repair or anything like that. The first thing I want to show you is how to expand floor tiles straight forward. Okay, so normally if someone was going to build onto this floor tile, I know when I first started playing the game, I would be standing here trying to link these up. Oh, finally you can get it if it lines up perfectly right, and it would just take so long every time to try and either line these up, or you'd end up jumping in the water, falling in half the time. So let me show you the ultra fast, ultra easy way. If I was just going to build across this and I didn't want to get in the water, this is what I would do. You can place an offset tile right above that tile, the first tile, like this, okay, and you can go up to the halfway point. So I aim right at halfway, and then the next tile you place can instantly snap underneath. Destroy the above, place another above, snap underneath. And once you get to the point where you're running out of support, you can build a small beam. And there we go, now we have support again. Go back to our floor tiles, snapping them back and forth on top of each other. And make sure you're paying attention to when these get red. So if you have a red tile, then you need to build more supports, and we can do the same thing every time. Just build a wood beam that sticks off the edge, jump onto it, kind of position yourself out over the edge, and just place more beams as support. That will give us everything we need every time. We can essentially build limitlessly like this, as long as you don't end up getting into water that's far too deep for you. Then you're fine. It's also very important here to keep track of your supports, because if you place a floor tile that ends up being red and then you stand on it, it will take a second for the support to catch up with the tile placement. So it will break after you're standing on it. You'll end up falling in the water, you may get stuck, and that will be not a fun time. Also, if you ever end up in a position like this where you're out of crafting station and you just want to get by, you can always place one right behind you and just continue on. See, perfect example. If I would have stepped out there, I would have fell. So that's why you gotta watch your support. Usually you'll need one every 3 for the floor tiles. Every 3. And then at that point you can always place another beam. Make sure you're getting halfway on the floor tiles. Do another beam to give yourself support. And there you go. Straight build across, no jumping in the water, no boats needed in any way. Next, I want to talk about core wood. Because if you're building a bridge or a really big building, anything bigger than like basically a small house or shack, you should be using core wood. You need fir or pine trees for core wood, and you can even get it with a stone axe, so it shouldn't be too hard to get. See, there's a perfect example of where you could get some core wood right there. Pine tree. Usually they're in the dark forest, a lot of the times near troll caves, but when you find them, there's an abundance of them, more than you'll ever need. So you just find one loot's worth of core wood and you're good to go forever, essentially. Core wood makes these 4 pieces here. So we have the 2 sideways log beams and the 2 vertical log beams. So they're basically the same thing. One is just a half-size version of the other one, and they snap together a little bit differently. So anytime I want to build a bridge, I'm using only core wood, nothing else. And here's how I do it. First, we have our ground flattened. This is very important for the core wood bridge, which is much more sturdy, and it also won't degrade from being in the water. So I will take the core wood beam and place one towards where I'm considering the side of my bridge. So this beam will represent the left side of the bridge, and we want it to be flush with the ground so that if we take a cart over, it will be perfectly aligned. Okay, so this one beam here, this one log pole is going to basically be the backbone of this entire bridge, because just off of this one placement, everything else will snap together. We place the log beam that goes sideways, the next one to go this way. Okay, and we create the foundation essentially. Place 2 support beams here. Usually if I'm building one for one of my servers, I will make these very clean. I will take all the time I need to line these up to make sure that if they're poking out, they're poking out the same amount, things like that for aesthetic purposes, because that's just the way I play. A lot of what I do in this game, I don't really shoot for the bosses or things. I just want to make cool Viking looking places, you know, and maybe some of the stuff that I do doing that can help you guys do it as well. So next, we take our log beams and we want to line these up across the edge. Okay, so I see people using floor tiles for this a lot of the time. That is not how I do it at all. I'm going to place my log pole exactly parallel to that one. I'm going to try and get these equal in both distance apart and the height that they come up on the pole that they're all touching, like so. And this is something you can always undo, you know, if you If you don't like it, you can always tear these straight down and just go back from the 2 poles. Sometimes I like to do it from the sides. This kind of gives you a better idea of where you're placing them. Just go back and forth one after another that way. Seven poles is usually what I shoot for. 7 poles. You can make it with 6 and you can make it with 8, but I feel 7 is the best aesthetically. Okay, after this we're going to use somewhat of the same trick that we used for the floor tiles. So we're going to stick log poles sticking out halfway over, and we're going to stand on it. So this is going to give us visuals of everything we need to see without having to get into the water. And we can do the same thing here. Place this one poking out. Snap that, and we have the frame. Okay, now this is where it starts to get really easy. Everything from here is just going to snap straight forward. Boom. That's why I said this placement of this pole is the most important one. Everything else in this entire build will snap together. We do the same thing, walk out over the edge. This time we're going to need some support, so let's place the support down. Put one here, put one here. Okay, look at that, that's really coming together. And we do the same thing, walk out on the pole, horizontal, cross, finish the frame, and these will all snap together perfectly in the exact same way as the first set that you created. Step out. Looks like we're out of our workbench, and we can do the same thing we did for our other small bridge. Throw a crafting station down temporarily. Pull out another pole. Okay, this is important here. So as you can see, this pole is on the ground. This pole is not. So here's a very tricky way that I've learned to get this to be how you want it, right? We can place a horizontal pole and connect it to the bottom of this pole. See that? Look at that. Now this blue, now it's on the ground. You see that? That pole is on the ground. Down below the water. Now we place that there. It will only be a green. It won't be a blue, but it'll give it support rather than just hanging off the edge. Okay? As long as we can get one blue, we're good to go. Place another. And this is just essentially Legos now. Everything snaps together. We just follow the plan. Okay, eventually you're going to get to the other side. And to enable your cart, what you're going to want to do here is align the ground a little bit. You may have to raise it once or twice over here. But you want to even everything out with the bridge so that everything is flush. Okay. Now, let me load this bad boy up with some stuff just to make sure. If you didn't know this already, the cart when it's full is heavier than the cart when it's empty. It's harder to push. Okay. And now, da 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 da. Easy peasy, right? And that's a long bridge. This is a pretty long one. Fully supported. Everything is green, I think. Yep, everything is green, and since this is made out of core wood, it should never go past this degradation here. Everything goes to 50%, but the core wood is not affected by standing in this water, which is great, and it's wide enough for carts. Everything is good to go. Whenever I'm building a dock, I use much of the same concept, but I will create it to be kind of in an E shape. And then for each boat, we do an offshoot for the E. So if we stretch this out, maybe 3 or 4, we can add a raft here, right? And we can pull right up and get on and off as easy as we want. For the bigger boats, you'll need more space. So if we were building a long boat, we would want to, or a carver, we would want to make it wider here and make sure it's deep enough as well. Well guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully some of these tips can help you out with your building on water. I don't see many people talking about some of these things anywhere, so I have a feeling that they might not be as widely known as they should be. So get out there, build some bridges, build some lighthouses or beachfronts, and have a good time in Valheim. Have a good rest of your day.